The first thing you've got to understand about this initial 53-man reveal is that it didn't feel like a tidy, predictable roster. It felt like a statement, and not necessarily one that everyone will agree with. When you look at the names that jumped out, Cooper McDonald making the team, Jason Brownlee surviving as essentially an eighth receiver, Elijah Mitchell sticking around despite a crowded backfield, the natural reaction is, why? That's exactly where we start. These are more than roster. Trivia. They expose philosophy, risk tolerance, and the kind of short-term bets the Chiefs are willing to take. Take Cooper McDonald, a guy we heard called the archetypal backup Sam, someone who flashes on run defense and on special teams. On paper, he's the kind of depth piece you expect to see as insurance for a player like Leo Chanel, the guy who takes 3 to 5 snaps if the starter is dinged. But the real takeaway is that the Chiefs kept him active instead of burying him on the practice squad. That tells you two things. One, the organization values his specific skill set in base defense and on kickoff punt units right now. Two, they either don't expect him to be scooped up on waivers, or they were willing to take that gamble because they see immediate value. Either way, that's a roster move that could bite or bless KC depending on injuries and early season performance. Then there's Jason Brownlee, a more physical, less explosive option than many of the developmental receivers the team has cycled through. Yet he earned a spot. Keeping an older, tough receiver, as the extra body signals the Chiefs want reliability in contact-heavy reps and perhaps a special teams tackler who will hold the line when depth receivers are needed. The Brownlee pick also reads as preparation for contingency. If Jalen Royals or Rashee Rice, given his looming suspension chatter, aren't available, Brownlee is the safe, no-surprises option. And speaking of Rice, the ripple effect of his situation likely nudged other decisions across the roster. That's why some of these seemingly odd choices suddenly make more sense when you map them to potential absences. Finally, look at Elijah Mitchell staying over other backs. That's a classic short-term fit choice. A veteran who can give you one lane, north-south rushing, and a reliability profile in case single-game backup duties are needed. To fans, keeping Mitchell might seem like insurance against uncertainty in the backfield, but it also uses a roster slot that could be used for developmental upside. So all of these moves together create a pattern. The Chiefs are carrying more immediate, dependable pieces on offense and special teams while taking calculated gambles on defensive depth and position-specific backups. That sets the stage for the rest of our breakdown because once you see the pattern, you can start to predict where the team will be aggressive in the waiver wire, which players are most at risk of being cut or poached, and what the coaching staff is prioritizing in short-term readiness versus long-term development. Before we dig deeper into the linebacker and nose tackle situations, I'd love to know which of these surprises hit you the hardest. Drop A for Cooper McDonald, B for Jason Brownlee, C for Elijah Mitchell, or D for the Derek Naughton, Pennell nose tackle drama in the comments. And if you like this level of roster breakdown, please hit like and subscribe. We're pushing for 5,000 subscribers, and every sub helps us keep doing this kind of deep dive content tailored to real Chiefs fans like you. Now let's dive into the linebacker carousel, because this is where the Chiefs' roster decisions start to feel really calculated and maybe a little surprising. Cooper McDonald, once considered a fringe backup, is now a full-time roster guy. And for good reason. He's the type of player who can slide into Sam, Will, or Mike positions, giving Spags that versatility he loves, especially when the base defense needs a quick plug-in. McDonald isn't just insurance. He's a guy who made plays in the preseason, sacks, run stops, and even teaching rookie Joshua Williams where to line up. That's a skill you don't quantify on a stat sheet but matters more than people think. On top of that, the Chiefs acquired Cam Jones from the Jets for a conditional 2026 pick swap, adding another layer of depth in a spot that historically has been thin. This signals that KC is actively thinking about both 2025 and the 2026. Off-season, particularly since Leo Chanel is in a contract year. Who's ready to take over if Chanel gets hurt or if the team decides to shift schemes? Cooper McDonald now looks like the front runner, and that's a big vote of confidence from the organization. But depth at linebacker isn't just about talent. It's about timing, fit, and who can handle special teams assignments. McDonald's combination of field IQ, physicality, and versatility makes him a rare commodity, one that other teams might have scooped if the Chiefs had hesitated. The discussion around Josh Williams also comes into play, especially after Nazi Johnson went on IR. Williams made the roster partly to direct McDonald and maintain continuity, even if he isn't expected to see heavy snaps. It's a chess move, and these backup Sams rarely get recognition, but they're pivotal for keeping the base defense functional. For fans, it's exciting to see a young player like McDonald get this opportunity, but also a reminder that the Chiefs are playing roster chess well in advance. Now here's a question for you. Do you trust the Chiefs to groom Cooper McDonald into a reliable long-term backup? Drop a yes or no in the comments, and while you're there, hit that like button and subscribe if you want more insider-level analysis like this. Understanding this depth chart doesn't just matter for Week 1, it matters for every critical snap this season. And knowing how these backups can impact your starters gives you the full picture of how the Chiefs are shaping their defense to withstand injuries and maintain flexibility. All right, now let's tackle the nose tackle situation, because this one has been a whirlwind and honestly, it's left a lot of fans scratching their heads. Derek Naughton is back in Kansas City after being traded away to the Jets last offseason, and the Chiefs decided to cut Mike Pennell, who had been the starting nose tackle throughout the preseason. On paper, it seems counterintuitive. Why cut a high guy who has been getting reps in camp and preseason action? The reality is that the Chiefs are trying to balance veteran presence, versatility, and cost, but it leaves them with essentially one true nose tackle on the roster. That's a risky move, especially in a scheme where interior line play is critical to freeing up linebackers like Nick Bolton and Dre Tranquill to make plays. Think about it. If the only nose tackle goes down, you suddenly force a rookie or someone adjusting to a new position into a key role, and that could ripple across the defense. It also raises questions about the team's off-season strategy. They brought back Naughton, but he's older and not quite the player he was previously. Meanwhile, Pennell is left hanging despite his contributions, and the thought process behind this decision hasn't been fully clear. Are the Chiefs banking on practice squad recalls, or expecting a rookie like Omar Norman-Lott to step up and fill gaps as a 3 technique while also learning versatility? That's a lot to put on a rookie in their first season. Fans should understand that nose tackle isn't just another spot, it's the fulcrum that makes the front 7 work efficiently. Without a solid presence there, the entire defense can struggle. Gaps open up, linebackers face more traffic, and the pass rush can become less effective. So while Derek Naughton is a trusted veteran and an experienced leader, the roster move still leaves a vulnerability that fans should monitor closely, especially heading into Week 1. Here's a quick engagement point for you. Do you think the interior defensive line is the weakest link on this roster right now? Yes or no? Drop your vote in the comments. And remember, subscribing helps us break down moves like this in real time. So if you want all the latest Chiefs roster insights, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This nose tackle debate might seem technical, but it's one of the most impactful roster decisions the team has made this offseason, and keeping an eye on how it plays out will be key for understanding the defense's performance in the coming games. Next up, let's talk about the remaining roster curiosities, particularly on offense and some of the moves that might have left fans raising eyebrows. The Chiefs are carrying 8 wide receivers and 3 tight ends on this initial 53-man roster, which is unusual, but makes sense once you factor in suspensions, injuries, and Week 1 readiness. Jason Brownlee is the standout here, a bigger, tougher receiver who's not explosive but offers reliability and special teams value. Keeping him might seem like a conservative choice, but with Rashee Rice's suspension looming and Jalen Royals' injury situation uncertain, he provides immediate depth without shaking up the core offensive plan. Then there's Elijah Mitchell, who also stuck around despite limited preseason snaps. The reasoning here seems straightforward. He's a veteran, capable of executing north-south runs and providing a reliable handoff option when other backs are resting or unavailable. Carson Steele, meanwhile, looks poised to return to the practice squad, along with Clyde Zaire, which shows the Chiefs are keeping developmental upside on standby. On the waiver front, Asa Poole getting claimed by the Jets was a blow, especially since the Chiefs had hoped to stash him on the practice squad. That's one of those almost made-it stories that shows how thin the margin is for fringe players and how quickly roster plans can be disrupted. These moves together paint a picture of a team balancing short-term readiness with long-term player development. The Chiefs are layering like-for-like players, trying to maintain flexibility without sacrificing depth or special teams coverage. For fans, this means paying attention to who might move over the next 2 weeks. We could see roster churn before Week 1 as suspensions are served and injuries play out. Now, here's a question for you. Do you think the Chiefs will make a roster move on the offensive side before Week 1, maybe at wide receiver or running back? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments. And as always, if you appreciate this breakdown and want more insider takes like this, hit the like button and subscribe to help us reach 5,000 subscribers. Keeping an eye on these odds and ends decisions is key because they can have ripple effects on the overall roster and even impact how the first few games unfold. Knowing the strategy behind the picks gives you a clearer view of what the coaching staff values most: reliability, versatility, and readiness. Finally, let's wrap up with a closer look at the overall picture of the Chiefs' 53-man roster and what it means for fans as we head into Week 1. What really stands out is how much the team leaned on short-term readiness and insurance for key positions while still trying to preserve developmental players where possible. We saw Cooper McDonald solidify a spot in the linebacker core, Jason Brownlee act as a dependable wide receiver and special teams contributor, and Elijah Mitchell retained for his veteran reliability. At the same time, areas like the nose tackle position with Derek Naughton and the absence of Mike Pennell expose vulnerabilities that the Chiefs will need to manage carefully. This roster is a chessboard. Some moves are about today, some about tomorrow, and others about not giving rival teams an advantage by leaving players exposed on waivers. Fans should expect some roster maneuvering in the coming weeks. Players could shift between the practice squad, active roster, or even land on another team if opportunities arise. The key takeaway here is that every move is intentional, even if it seems confusing at first glance. It's about depth, flexibility, and keeping a competitive edge while navigating injuries, suspensions, and positional needs. As a fan, watching how these decisions play out will be exciting because it gives insight into the front office's thinking and coaching philosophy. Before we finish, here's one final engagement question for you. Which player are you most excited to see make an impact from this 53-man roster? Drop their name in the comments below, and if you haven't already, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. Every new subscriber helps us reach our 5,000 subscriber goal and ensures you get the latest Chiefs insights as soon as they happen. The 2025 season promises to be full of surprises, and understanding these roster choices now will make every game more meaningful. Stick around, follow the moves, and you'll see how each of these calculated risks and unexpected roster decisions unfolds on the field, giving you the full picture of the Chiefs' strategy for a successful season.